Y News with Angelo Castro III, William Theo, and Darlene Basingan.
Good evening. President Rodrigo Duterte sacks the commissioners of the Presidential Commission for the Urban Poor. Rosa Licos will tell us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte confirmed he fired Terry Ridon and other commissioners of the Presidential Commission for the Urban Poor because of junkets or pleasure trips. He said Ridon had traveled several times right after his appointment, and PCUP as a commission only had a few meetings since he took office.
I fired the whole of the commission of the urban poor. One is because it's a collegial body, and I have heard that they never had any hearing except for one or two. And si Rindon, yung chairperson, although he thanked me for the time that he was there, appointed, and maybe ako naman, no personal reasons really to fire him except that he had too much too soon. He was appointed September and he traveled about 7 times. And to think that the office is an urban poor agency, I simply cannot. I cannot understand why you have to be there at every powwow in the international scene. We cannot afford it. And that is why henceforth I said everybody must get the permit from my office. And I will see if it's really worthwhile.
The president made a statement when he led the awarding ceremony for the child-friendly municipalities and cities in the country in Malacanang this afternoon. Consequently, Malacanang warns officials who use government funds in their personal trips.
I think the president has given a topmost priority to running after government officials who are engaged in junketing, no? Or for the government junketeers, that's the correct term.
The president also fired other commissioners of PCUP. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque, however, clarifies that PCUP is not abolished and that not all employees were fired. Malacanang denies that the chief executive fired Ridon for being left-leaning. Meanwhile, Ridon said all his trips were authorized by the Office of the President and recommended by the Office of the Cabinet Secretary, including the international conferences relevant to the urban poor. Rosa Licos, UNTV News and Rescue, Malacanang.
Liberal Party senators are not satisfied with the explanations offered by the security and military officials on President Rodrigo Duterte's request to extend martial law in Mindanao by 1 more year. National Security Advisor Hermogenes Esperon, however, stresses that such a move is imperative. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
Officials from the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police and some members of the Duterte cabinet attended the Senate session this morning. Said officials explained to the senators how imperative President Rodrigo Duterte's request for the 1-year extension of martial law in Mindanao is. But the Liberal Party senators are not convinced by the explanations offered them.
Where the security forces said that the threat is continuing, that martial law has a psychological impact in law enforcement. Unfortunately, these are not sufficient basis under our Constitution.
Nung natapos na po yung bakbakan sa Marawi at natigil na po yung firefighting, sa amin pong palagay, natapos na rin po yung actual rebellion.
Kung ito'y dadalhin sa Korte Suprema, ay makita na hindi na ganun ang sitwasyon tulad nung nakaraan.
Malacanang, however, has this to say.
We have factual basis for the declaration of martial law, and we see no reason why Congress will not give its usual support to this initiative of the Chief Executive.
Even National Security Advisor Secretary Hermogenes Esperon stresses the importance of extending the martial law in Mindanao.
There is an uprising. What do you call it when you're trying to establish a wilayat? Ang wilayat, ibig sabihin yan, You are establishing another form of government.
Esperon adds that there are still lots of things to be done in Mindanao to achieve peace in the region.
We must defeat terrorism, and terrorism is from both the ISIS or Abu Sayyaf and the CPP-NPA. We must pursue the war on drugs. We must pursue reforms, especially in local government.
The Senate opposition bloc believes that even with their dissent, the supermajority in both houses of Congress, who are known allies of the president, will approve his request. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
The House Speaker doesn't see any reason for not approving the request to extend martial law in Mindanao. Here's why from Grace Casin.
House Speaker Pantalon Alvarez is confident that Congress will approve the martial law extension in Mindanao. Both houses of Congress are set to convene in a joint session tomorrow to study President Rodrigo Duterte's request for one-year extension of martial law to be effective on January 1, 2018.
Para sa akin, no, na tiga Mindanao, I don't see any reason why hindi pagbibigyan.
House Speaker says even if the war in Marawi has ended, it doesn't mean that the war of the government against rebels has also ended.
May mga movements pa rin yan. At saka marami pa silang mga kasamahan na nandoon. Tapos tuloy pa rin ang yung extortion doon sa mga plantations, extortion doon sa mga minahan, extortion doon sa mga contractors, extortion doon sa mga bus operators.
Albay Representative Ed Salagman, on the other hand, says they will question the move to the Supreme Court because they believe that implementing it is against the Constitution.
Kung basahin natin ang saligang batas, it says extension of the declaration or promulgation. It does not refer to extension of an extension.
Former soldier and now Magdalo Party List Representative Gary Alejano says it will have a big impact on the soldiers.
Continuous combat operation at kulang sa kagamitan will lead to demoralization.
Earlier today, the House has conducted an all-member caucus in which they invited the heads of the Department of the Interior and Local Government, Department of National Defense, and Executive Secretary Salvador Medialdea to shed light on the need to extend martial law in Mindanao. Grace Casin, UNTV News and Rescue, House of Representatives.
Meanwhile, members of the Development Academy of the Philippines Personnel Association, or DAPR, calls on President Rodrigo Duterte to replace his appointee, DAP President Attorney Elba Cruz. Ramil Ramal will tell us why.
Please lang, Mr. President, kung totoong sinasabi ninyo na gusto ninyo ng tamang pagbabago, ito na po ang panahon. Palitan niyo ho siya. Palitan niyo ho siya ng matino. Yung totoong nagmamalasakit sa gobyerno ninyo.
The employees of the Development Academy of the Philippines, or DAPR, calls on President Rodrigo Duterte to replace his appointee DAPR President Attorney Elba Cruz. The employees claim Cruz takes questionable steps and lacks competence in leading the corporation.
Primarily is the appointment or the designation of non-plantilla officers to official positions in violation of CSC Circular Number 2, which states that non-plantilla personnel must not exercise supervision over plantilla personnel. She has also traveled in the 8 months that she's in office. She has also traveled around also 8 times. So every month meron din siyang travel.
The group said they have also attempted to talk to Attorney Cruz several times already, but she refuses to face them and hear their concerns. On the other hand, DAPR HR Managing Director Emmanuel Silan responded to the allegations against Attorney Cruz.
A figment of imagination. It's not true. It's coming from lack of information.
Silan also calls on the complainants to talk about the matter in a proper forum.
We can sit down together and converse like professionals.
Meanwhile, Presidential Spokesman Secretary Harry Roque says the President will look into the matter.
It was made in a very public manner, and I'm sure the President will investigate this particular complaint. As you can see, the President does not take issues of corruption sitting down.
The DAP is a government-owned and controlled corporation with a mandate to develop or create concepts and principles that would help address the problems that hinder the development of the country. Rabil Ramal, UNTV News and Rescue, Pasig City.
Justice Romeo Barza swears oath as the new presiding justice of the Court of Appeals. President Rodrigo Duterte appoints Barza to take over the position of then presiding Justice Andres Reyes Jr., who was appointed last July as a magistrate of the Supreme Court. Justice Barza is from Lupon, Davao Oriental. He became a judge in Batangas City in 1995 and was appointed as the Associate Justice of CA in 2006 by former President and now Pampanga Representative Gloria Macapagal Arroyo. And in other news, doctors vowed to help the Department of Health in identifying the thousands of children who received dengue vaccination from private pediatricians. Here's why from Aiko Miguel.
The Philippine College of Physicians has expressed concern over the condition of the more than 800,000 children who received Dengvaxia vaccine under the government's mass immunization program. The PCP is more worried for the children who received the vaccination from private doctors. With this, the group of doctors vows to help the Department of Health or DOH in identifying the individuals vaccinated with Dengvaxia by private pediatricians.
It's a call for all of us to make sure that these preventable diseases, particularly the vaccine-preventable diseases, should be adequately addressed by making sure that we look at, of course, the effectiveness as well as the safety of the vaccines.
Dr. Fatima Jimenez, a pediatrician who specializes in contagious diseases, says they will immediately submit list of names of individuals who received the vaccine in private medical facilities to the health department.
We have been asked, to give a list to the Department of Health of all the names of the people, and then we will monitor, for the next couple of years.
The doctors remind parents to immediately bring to the nearest hospital their children who show symptoms of dengue after receiving Dengvaxia.
Importante sa dengue, siyempre, yung hydration o pagbibigay ng fluids. Very crucial, no? Sabi ko nga, lumalapot ng dugo, so fluids ang pinaka-importante dyan. Hindi dapat na matakot sa pagdudugo, kundi doon sa paglapot ng dugo.
Malacanang, meanwhile, has once again vowed to hold accountable the individuals responsible for the purchase and distribution of the controversial vaccine. The palace says the president also wants to demand from the pharmaceutical giant Sanofi Pasteur to return the amount the Philippine government paid them. Malacanang notes this is for the manufacturer's alleged willful hiding of information about the negative effects of Dengvaxia to people who received it without prior dengue infection. Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Starting January, the government's PUV modernization program will be implemented despite the opposition of transport groups, PUV operators, and drivers. Mai Bermudez will tell us why.
It's all systems go for the implementation of the government's PUV modernization program next year. According to the Department of Transportation, pilot testings will be done in Tacloban City on Friday. According to Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board Chairman Martin Delgra, 3 developmental routes are already approved in 3 relocation sites in the area.
So what will happen on Friday is that yung lahat ng mga components na pwedeng isama doon sa pag-launch doon sa Tacloban na yan, under the PUV-MP, gagawin na po. Kagaya ng electric jeep, kagaya ng PMS standard na kailangan nakatayo pag papasok ka sa jeep. Gagamit na rin sila ng store value card, yung AFCS na tinatawag ng automatic fare collection system.
But jeepney operators and drivers once again raised their opposition to the program. They urged the government to just change the engines of old jeepney units if the root cause of the problem is the smoke coming from the public transportation.
Palitan na lang yung makina, wag lang i-phase out, no phase out na lang. Kasi pag phase out yun, wala na kaming kabuhayan. Kasi hindi sila nagkukonsulta sa mga operator, tsaka sa mga driver, tsaka commuters. Tapos pag tinaasa yung pamasahe, marami din magaan, mahihirapan.
Hindi rin okay yun kasi maraming driver ang mawawala ng hanap buhay. Ay, yung ibinibigay naman ng gobyerno sa sasakyan, napakamahal.
Susweldohan lang kami ng 500, kakayanin ba namin yon?
The LTFRB meanwhile assures that no fare increase will be implemented by the end of the year up until January in 2018. This is due to pending fare hike petitions filed by several transport groups. Earlier, the groups asked to reset the hearing on the petition given that they have incomplete documents.
Merong petition for a fare hike. But yung basihan nila dun sa fare hike na yan was more on yung trying to recoup losses. Hindi sila ready mag-present ng kanilang ebidensya in support of their petition.
Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Meanwhile, President Rodrigo Duterte warns transport group pinagkaisang samahan ng mga tsuper at operator nationwide or piston anew. The chief executive says air pollution in the country is getting worse every day. But the president claims Piston still refuses to support his jeepney modernization program.
Itong piston hindi raw sila magsunod, ganito raw. Sabi ko, sige, subukan natin. Because I'm preparing the armed forces and the police to buy rubber bullets, prepare for the truncheons, and I don't care if we go into a turmoil. That is what I like. I thrive best in a turmoil. Talagang guguyurin ko yung mga sakyan ninyo.
Next on Y News. The Department of Trade and Industry warns a businessman to follow the suggested retail prices of holiday products.
The Land Transportation Office plans to begin in March of next year the distribution of more than 3 million vehicle and motorcycle license plates.
And Tropical Depression Urduha begins to bring rains in several parts of the country.
Y News will be right back. The Department of Trade and Industry has reminded businessmen to follow the suggested retail prices or SRPs of various products, especially the in-demand ones this holiday season. Here's why from Ray Pelayo.
The Department of Trade and Industry or DTI made rounds in various markets in Quezon City earlier this morning to monitor the prices of products in demand this holiday season. The DTI aims to determine if vendors follow the agency's suggested retail prices or SRPs. Among the products the DTI monitors include ham, fruit cocktail, cheese, sandwich spread, mayonnaise, queso de bola, pasta, spaghetti sauce, and tomato sauce among others.
Although SRP is a guide, we will be compelled to inquire bakit sila tumataas sa SRP. Sana makiisa ang atin mga manininda katulad ng malalaking grocery, pati yung maliliit dahil service-oriented tayo. Sundin natin yung sinasabing SRP dahil nakapaloob na dyan ang kita ng atin mga manininda.
DTI will issue a show cause order to those found not following suggested retail prices. Violators will also face fines of 20,000 pesos to 1 million pesos. The SRP of products can be found on the website of the agency at www.dti.gov.ph. According to DTI Undersecretary Teodoro Pascua, the agency sees no possible increase in the prices of in-demand products until the year end.
Sa SRP hindi na kami gagalaw. Ang DTI, hindi na po magbabago yan.
The DTI meanwhile advises consumers to do shop as early as possible to avoid inconvenience. Ray Pilayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Land Transportation Office plans to begin in March of next year the distribution of more than 3 million vehicle and motorcycle license plates. Ray Pelayo is back to tell us why.
The Land Transportation Office, or LTO, awarded to German company Trojan Computer Forms Manufacturing Corporation and J.H. Tonch joint venture last December 1st the more than 1 billion peso contract for the production of new license plates. According to LTO Executive Director Attorney Romeo Vera Cruz, the agency plans to begin the distribution of more than 3 million license plates on backlog in March of 2018. This will cover motorists who applied for registration of their vehicles from the period of July 2016 to December 2017. The first batch of applicants who might receive the new license plates include about 1.7 million motorcycle riders and over 1.5 million drivers of various vehicles.
We hope that by March next year, we will start issuing these plates. We will start issuing. Hindi yon one time, ha? We will start the issuance because we will be producing these plates.
Aside from the 3 million backlog, the LTO also vows to issue license plates to motorists who are applying for the registration of their vehicles next year. According to LTO, the new license plates will have a unique security feature. The agency also vows to not impose additional fees for vehicle registration. Meanwhile, the LTO awaits for the decision of the Commission on Audit, or COA, and Supreme Court release regarding the more than 700,000 unused vehicle plates after its supplier failed to pay import duties.
Habang hindi pa po nare-resolve yung notice of disallowance doon po sa Commission on Audit as well as the case sa Supreme Court. Yun po hinihintay natin. Ang resolution po nito mga cases na ito.
The LTO vows to do all it can to resolve the problem in the license plates of new vehicles. Ray Pilayo, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Philippine National Police Women and Children Protection Center rescued 19 women, including underage girls from Caloocan City. Here's why from May Bermudez.
Operatives of the Philippine National Police Women and Children Protection Center raided a resto bar along 8th Avenue in Caloocan City last night. The operation targeted 2 suspected procurers, identified as Teody Gutierrez alias Agatha and an unidentified woman who allegedly pimped girls. During the raid at the resto bar, operatives rescued 19 women, including 11 minors who were supposed to be pimped to male customers last night. Some of them were tearful during the rescue. Authorities arrested alias Agatha, who failed to escape after she was cornered. However, the other suspect managed to flee. According to Police Senior Superintendent Villamor Tuliao, the chief of the PNP Anti-Trafficking in Persons Division, the resto bar had long been under surveillance after receiving complaints about the illegal activities by the suspects.
Usually, offer sa Facebook or other platforms sa social media. And yung iba naman through mga personal contacts na may mga may mga alaga siya na ganitong mga kwan, and these are the ages, ranges from actually ang pinakabata nga na rescue dito is 14 years old.
Tulio says the meeting for the trafficking of the women was supposed to take place at a diner, but the underage girls were being brought to hotels for sex. The clients pay 4,000 to 5,000 pesos for the services of the minors. With this, the police have this call to parents.
A warning sa mga magulang na bantayan natin yung mga anak natin.
The rescued women will be brought to Camp Crame for documentation. Afterwards, they will be turned over to the social workers of the Department of Social Welfare and Development. Alias Agatha, meanwhile, will face charges for violating the Anti-Trafficking in Person Act. May Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
PNP Chief Director General Ronald De La Rosa defends the designation of Police Senior Superintendent Albert Ferro to the PNP Drug Enforcement Group. Ferro was the former chief of the PNP AIDG that was abolished after some of its men were found involved in the kidnapping and killing of Korean businessman Ji Ik-ju. Here's why from Michael Miguel.
Huwag na nilang tirahin si Colonel Ferro ako na yung tirahin nila because that's my decision. Sagot ko yan, sagot ko.
This is how Philippine National Police or PNP Chief Director General Ronald Bato de la Rosa defends Police Senior Superintendent Albert Ferro, who has been recently designated as the new chief of the PNP Drug Enforcement Group or PNP-DEG. Liberal Party Senator Kiko Pangilinan initially opposed the PNP's decision to allow Ferro's return to a major position. The opposition senator argued it would not help bring back the public's trust to the administration's drug war. Ferro was the leader of the PNP Anti-Illegal Drugs Group or PNP-AIDG. The said police unit was abolished after some of its men were found involved in the abduction and killing of Korean businessman Jiik Ju. However, the trust of the PNP's top official to Ferro remains high.
Kung gusto na, tanggalin niyo ako pagka si PNP kung ayaw, hindi niyo ako bibigyan ng prerogative to choose my subordinate commanders. Tanggalin na niyo ako kung ayaw niyo akong bigyan ng papel ng pumili sa mga tao na gusto kong patrabahuin. Ganun lang, that's my prerogative.
The general also claims Ferro had no hand in the kidnapping and killing of G.
He was a part of the solution. At nangyari nga lang because he was the boss. Tinanggal natin siya. And maybe, after how many months? Almost 1 year na tinanggal natin siya. He has learned his lessons well. Hindi na siya basta-basta ang kukuha ng tao na hindi mapagkatiwalaan.
De La Rosa argues the police institution is in need of men like Ferro, who is being trusted by foreign counterparts of Philippine authorities.
The most important reason is that he has established contacts with our foreign counterparts. At mahirap ma-develop yung trust and confidence ng ating mga Chinese counterparts, American counterparts, Taiwanese counterparts, Hong Kong counterparts, and even Southeast Asian neighbors, counterparts natin sa drug enforcement. It will take time to re-establish.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Meanwhile, the Court of Appeals clears businessman and former Trade Minister Roberto Ongpin in an administrative case involving the alleged insider trading in the shares of Philex Mining Corporation in 2009. In the decision of the former CA Special 13th Division penned by Justice Maria Luisa Quijano Padilla, the appellate court reversed and dismissed the ruling of the Securities and Exchange Commission or SEC. In the said SEC decision, the agency ordered Ongpin to pay 174 million pesos for violating the Securities Regulation Code. The appellate court explains the fine imposed by the SEC has no basis as the law limits the monetary penalty the agency can impose up to 1 million pesos only for insider trading charges. And a group of farmers from Maguindanao receives recognition 2 years after the Mama Sapano tragedy. Here's why from Rajela Dora.
Farmers from Mama Sapano, Maguindanao have seen a glimmer of hope after the Fallen 44 tragedy that happened 2 years ago. Modrica Masukat of Alraman, a farmers' multipurpose cooperative, recalls the hardship they experienced after the incident happened.
Outright yan, nagbaba ang production namin. Bakit? Dahil yung mga farmers natin, during that time, hindi nila napunta yung farm nila dahil natatakot sila sa mga military.
Despite that, Masukat says it only took them 3 months and they were able to recover and cultivate the land for rice and corn production. This led the way for their cooperative to be recognized as one of the 21 outstanding cooperatives by the Villar-Sipag Awards for Poverty Reduction Program. It started at August 2013, the Villar-Sipag Awards that aimed at recognizing outstanding cooperatives that implement programs which promote economic development in their communities. Senator Cynthia Villar says from 220 participants nationwide, 21 outstanding cooperatives that have set an example to reduce poverty in the country have been awarded.
Hindi po namin hinahanap yung mayamang cooperative. Ang hinahanap namin ay yung cooperative na yung mga program nila ay nakakatulong para makaahon sa kahirapan ng mga members.
The group of Alraman farmers currently produce 4.8 to 5.2 metric tons of rice and corn per hectare. Rogel Adora, UNTV News and Rescue, Las Piñas City.
Another batch of families of soldiers and cops killed in action in Marawi City received financial assistance from Brother Eli Soriano of the Members Church of God International. Here's why from Ray Pelayo.
Yung mga sundalo, hindi naman po yan nakakatanggi. Nakahanda silang ibuwis ang buhay para sa kanilang pagiging sundalo. At ito pong aming kaunting maihahandog na tulong sa inyo. Buong puso po naming inihahandog bawat isang pamilya na naulila. At gaya ng sabi ng kapatid na Daniel, meron kaming paaralan na libre ang lahat ng bagay. Baka gusto ninyo yung inyong mga anak ay pag-aralin.
True to his promise, Brother Eli Soriano donated a total of 8.3 million pesos from his own income for the beneficiaries of 159 soldiers and 7 policemen who fought and sacrificed their lives in Marawi City. Each family received 50,000 pesos as financial assistance from Brother Eli. Shena Pascual plans to establish a small business from the amount she received to support her 2 children who lost their father.
Nagpa-plan po akong magtayo ng sari-sari store. Hindi po ako pwedeng mag-work kasi baby pa yung anak ko. So kailangan kong full-time mom.
Meanwhile, life must also go on for Federico and Mercy Savellano despite the loss of their son, First Lieutenant John Frederick Savellano.
Masakit sa amin na talagang nawala siya, pero we're still happy na nag-serve siya sa country.
The soldier volunteered to be among the frontliners who fought the terrorists in Marawi City. Lieutenant Savellano's team was the one who recovered the around 80 million pesos cash and checks in the hideouts of the enemies.
Nung bata siya, hindi namin kitaan na pangarap niya magsundalo. Dito na lang namin na discover nung namatay siya, yung mga friends niya, yung mga teachers niya, kinakausap niya pala kung paano ang pumasok sa military.
The couple was also a beneficiary from Luzon. Last December 2, Kuya Daniel Razon personally handed to the commander of the AFP Western Mindanao Command, Lieutenant General Carlito Galvez Jr., the cash assistance for the first batch of beneficiaries in Zamboanga City. The 8.3 million pesos is an additional amount to the 6 million pesos and 2 million pesos that the UNTV Foundation previously donated to the Armed Forces of the Philippines and the Philippine National Police respectively, that came from the proceeds of the Songs for Heroes 3 benefit concert.
On behalf of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, gusto natin iparating kay Brother Eli ang aming taus-pusong pasasalamat sa mga donations o yung mga suporta na binibigay ninyo sa ating mga naulila ng ating mga sundalong namatay sa labanan sa Marawi.
Brother Eli, thank you very much sa mga tulong mo from the bottom of our hearts. We are so very thankful sa inyo. Salamat po sa inyo. At sana pagpalain pa rin kayo ng Diyos at makatulong pa kayo sa nakakarami.
Ray Pelayo, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Coming up on Y News. Victims in France are preparing to battle state authorities for air pollution damages.
Drivers warned of treacherous driving conditions as heavy snowfall continues in Britain.
And 3 Philippine acts secure slots in the grand finals of Asia's Got Talent Season 2.
More from Y News after this break.
Philippine acts wowed the audience in the second season of the prestigious Asia's Got Talent held in Singapore. Here's why from Myla Guevara.
3 Philippine acts made it to the grand finals of Asia's Got Talent Season 2, more than any other country remaining in the contest. The 3 acts are the hip-hop dance crew from Las Piñas, Philippines Urban Crew, the 10-man dance group DMX Convaleños from Compostela Valley, and the human beatboxer from Davao City, Neil Ray Garcia Llanes. The 3 performing acts are competing against 6 other finalists from Indonesia, Mongolia, Malaysia, Kyrgyzstan, and Taiwan. Neil says he is thrilled now that his dream is near his reach after leaving the first season in 2015 as a semi-finalist.
Pilipinas. Iniwan ko siya sa ere yung dream ko para tapusin mo na yung isang dream. Education. Bumalik ako kasi gusto ko rin mag-inspire ng maraming tao, lalong-lalo yung mga kabataan na they can also achieve their dreams and they can hone their talents to create possibilities po.
Meanwhile, Urban Cruz says they didn't expect getting into the finals after having some errors in their performances.
Nag-world kami na kabilang pala kami sa finals. Talagang tuwan-tuwa talaga kami. Masaya kami lahat. Umiyak talaga lahat. Ibang pakiramdam. Unexpected po kasi talaga.
All 3 performers from the Philippines made lasting impressions among judges Canadian music guru David Foster, Indonesian French singer Anggun, and American rapper Jay Park. Who will win the competition will depend on the number of votes that each of the acts will generate until tomorrow, December 13 by 11:59 in the evening. Supporters of each finalist should first create a Facebook post with their favorite act's hashtag or go to Asia's Got Talent Facebook page and click on the message button to vote. The result show will air on Thursday, December 14.
I am proud to perform as Filipino, hindi po dahil ako po ay may talent na beatbox. Ako po ay proud na i-represent yung bansa natin. And this Asia's Got Talent po, gagawin ko po ang lahat para sa ating bayan at para sa karangalan ng lahat ng Pilipino.
Message po namin sa mga kababayan natin, maraming salamat po sa pagsuporta po sa amin. Gusto namin pong sabihin sa inyo na proud po kami na i-represent ang Pilipinas. Nalaban kami hanggang sa dulo.
UNTV.
UNTV.
Myla Guevara, UNTV News and Rescue, Singapore.
Those are the reasons behind the news, December 12, 2017. I'm Angelo Castro III.
Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. I am William Theo.
And I'm Darlene Basingan, because we need to know.
We will always ask why. Thank you for watching
Why News.